So it's a very, very strange world.
It's a small world.
It's a small, serendipitous world. Tiernan. This mad cunt here we have with us, Dáithi Quinn. It's mad because I got an injury during COVID in June 2020. And I was, just Tiernan suffering in pain, and you went through the shoulder thing for years and whatever. And I thought I was going to have to get fucking surgery or something. So I was reached out to someone, I needed a physio, put it out on Instagram. And this man got in touch with me.
Yep.
So met up with him, and straight away, like a kindred spirit, mate straight away. I said, I love this fella.
Yeah.
Talking about an hour first, hey, and chats, and I was like, okay, I get you. You get me. This is great. Let's see what you like as a physio. And you remember the scene in 40-Year-Old Virgin, where your man goes and gets the thing stripped off him and he's
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was me.
Yeah.
I was lying down and he said, "You're going to hate." He said to me, "You're going to hate me right now."
Yeah.
I said, "What do you mean?" Ah! You can call me cunt if you want. You fucking cunt.
Yeah. That's how I know he loved me.
And when you have that just that when the injury hasn't been sorted anyway, it's just constant inflammation and pain. So I walked out and that was gone. I was like, fucking hell, this is fucking amazing. And kept going, and eventually got it to where it is now, which is back to life, thank God.
Yeah.
And I said, this man is an instant friend. And then weird.
He dropped the B word.
Yeah, because
The Ballymun word.
The Ballymun word. Because I was saying, I said, because you're around the same age as Tiernan's from Ballymun. You're from Ballymun, you're around the same. I said, you know what, Tiernan Williams? And he's going, Tiernan Williams? Yeah, I think I do. And then I go back to Tiernan. I said, Dáithi Quinn, you have to. You're the same age, same area, man. Yeah, I think you do. And then last week you was just, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was just clicked. And I went, oh my God. There you go. Such a small world. And I put the link together between Zeb, between the two of us then. And Zeb Moore, who's also involved in movies and stuff like that. And then I went, oh my God, Tiernan. And I haven't seen it in such a long time. It's the last time I've seen it.
It's been a lifetime, hasn't it?
Wow, yeah. It's been a few.
Then you walk through the door and I instantly
straight away.
All the memories start flooding back.
Straight away. I mean, well, for me, that's true friendship. I don't have to see it for a lifetime to still care about you.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we see each other again, boom, that,
it was like
that beautiful energy.
back, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was straight away. And it's like that with yourself, John.
Yeah,
we kind of have that, which for me, it's I love that.
Yeah.
Kindred spirits. Kindred spirits, yeah.
When did you meet?
Kids,
when we were kids, really young. Most of my life is a blur now at this stage. But when we were kids, when we were really young, I think the first time could have been in Poppentry Park, I think. And Zeb was there. That's because I met you through Zeb. And that's when we kind of start. But we were only young, weren't we? Was it 13 maybe? 14,
somewhere around there.
Yeah, and then we had that connection. Then we all kind of hung around for a while. And then through whatever happened in my life, I ended up leaving Ballymun, and
so did Zeb.
So did Zeb.
He moved out to Ashbourne or something.
He moved out to Ashbourne, and then he did loads of stuff for his life, which is just phenomenal. And look where he is now.
And Zeb met Tiernan and completely doesn't remember him.
Oh, it was like amnesia.
Blanked him out like.
Really?
Tiernan must have been some sort of cunt. Tiernan's like, no, it's Zeb, it's me, Tiernan, man. And he was saying you and all. I remember him. I don't remember you. Tiernan said, you don't remember. And I'm going, Tiernan, just leave it now. Let's get embarrassed.
Don't leave it. Keep embarrassing yourself.
The cunt still doesn't remember.
He will after this. He'll be
he's going to have to watch this fucking podcast. You'll have to fucking tell him.
We're coming looking for you, Zeb.
Poor old Tiernan, I felt bad for him.
I don't know.
He was looking for an old friend.
I'm just simply forgettable.
He was looking to reconnect more out there. I said, it's a sin, Tiernan. You're embarrassing me, man.
The only thing is, it was probably selective amnesia, to be honest.
You're troublemaker. You're troublemaker. Zeb's a wonderful guy like yourself. And then I hadn't seen you for a long time. I was homeless on the streets, and all of a sudden, John actually brought us back together now.
And this is the thing, kind of lives just go on, don't they?
Yeah,
and it's and you've had a mad, like, really interesting life from what you've done since we've last met.
I think so. Like, I thought my childhood was normal at the time, and it's only when you're speaking to other people as you're growing up you realise, that's not normal. When your friends' parents are going, well, that's not right. You kind of question things, through all the different types of abuse, all the abuse that you can imagine was happening in the household. So the psychological and the physical abuse I was getting from my mother and the stepfather, very scary things. What I learned off them is to be frightened of everything. And then there was this other guy who used to come to the house, and he was like a social worker. where it's, you know, it was a kind of breeding ground for predators at the time. So
Yeah.
again, I blanked a lot of this stuff out of my brain, and it's only through me fighting with myself and fighting with the world and fighting with everybody else, I had to go to counselling, psychotherapist, your kind of field, and then I got hypnotized, and with certain type of abuse for me, I could almost smell this individual. You know, I don't know if that makes sense to you. And see the way I'm doing this, I always do this as soon as I start talking about him, because I can feel his coat, a crumby coat, and we're getting in deep straight away. So there's this crumby coat, the big long jackets they used to wear, and it'd be like a very dull tartan. And it just brings me back. The smell is there. I'm starting to sweat now thinking about it, and I could feel that. But when I went and I got hypnotized by this lovely counsellor who I'm still in contact with, and his name is Constantine, amazing human being. So he put me through all of these things, and all of these memories started coming out, and I was getting freaked out. And then I would doubt these memories. I would say, am I making this up? I don't know if you'd recognize this through your own profession. I would doubt memories. I'm like, that's a weird dream. That's a memory. And then I would have to cross-reference things with my older brother. And he'd go, oh yeah, that actually happened. And then, but this happened as well as that, you know. So for me, what I thought was normal was complete opposite. It was completely abnormal. And when I got to a certain age, and it was safer for me to be away from the house than it was in the house.
What age was that now, Don?
I was like 16, 17, maybe, you know. Like, you know yourself, as a man, you get to a certain age, young guy, your balls start to drop, and you're like, I'm not fucking taking shit anymore. I need to stand up for myself. But I was still afraid of the beatings. I was afraid of being screamed at. Like, I was bullied from the two parents and the two older brothers, because shit rolls down here. They didn't know what they were doing. It's just, you know, older guys giving it to fucking me, even to the point where I developed this phobia of insects and spiders. And for years I could, what the fuck, where did I get that from? But in Ballymun, the courts, you remember the house in the courts, so most people used the back door. They didn't go in through the front door unless you were posh. So as soon as the parents would get in the car and drive out the back, because my kitchen, or the house, the kitchen is linked to the back garden. As soon as they drive out, I remember the lights of the car going on, they'd reverse out and drive off. The two brothers would put me in that corner, and I'd be there for hours, and they'd grab the side of the table and beat the shit out of me, kick me, and they'd take the tops off tomatoes and they'd throw them at me. And go, spiders are eating you. That's where I got the fear of insects from. I'm like, holy Jesus Christ. And I didn't relate one to the other, and then all of a sudden, that's where you get that. Yeah. That's where you get that from. But where I live now, because I live in a little log cabin in the woods on my friend's land, spiders everywhere. I'm like, oh yeah, there's another one. There's one in the bathroom. He lives there. So his name is Philip. So he's a big motherfucker. He comes down and I go, all right, Philip, I'm just going to the toilet here. Just don't drop on me. You know? So yeah, like when I left the house, 16, 17, I was homeless for a couple of years. Sleeping on floors here, there, and everywhere, but mostly sleeping on the streets. So you pick a doorway, you pick a lane, and you beg for money. And I kind of, at that young, I turned to drink quite early, because I found I would always be polite and respectful, even when I was drunk and a young flit and homeless. I'd ask somebody, we used to call it tapping for odds, yeah. So have you got 20 pence and blah blah blah. So I found if I was drinking and asking somebody, they're more likely to go, geez, this 20 pence, any chance you can fuck off, which it worked for me. And at the time, I had long blonde hair down to here, I had big boots on, I had combat jeans on, I looked like you remember, Lula. But I would drink to beg to get money for food, and then I'd continue that cycle. So I started to rely on alcohol. I wasn't an alcoholic, but I would rely on that as a means to get my food, and at that time, I kind of had this obsession with being clean. I had to be clean. So every morning I'd go into McDonald's on Grafton Street, and I'd go into the toilet downstairs, strip naked, and wash myself in the sink. You'd see people walking in, what are you doing? I'm like, the clothes might be dirty because I'm wearing them, but my body has to be clean. Yeah. And then I'd start the whole process again, And it was a strange old experience. I don't think I'd ever change it, because it makes you who you are, And I look at the good out of it. I never look at the bad out of it. And people would say to me, Jesus, that must have been rough. Well, I was young, so what the fuck is rough? Rough is staying in a house where you're being treated like a bag of shit, when you're a toddler and you've got 2 older brothers, the 2 years between us, and you're left in the flat in Ballymun in Thomas Clark Tower.
Yeah.
And the mother's off fucking drinking and doing whatever else.
Yeah.
And we've no food, we're being starved.
Yeah.
And you have relations banging at the door, you have neighbours banging at the door and calling the police because you've been left. I was 2 at the time.
Yeah.
You know, so it was easier for me to be on the street. You know, it was a lot easier. And then once in a blue moon, you get one of the guys and he'd say, oh, my ma was asking for you.
Yeah.
You know, come back to the house. I'd be sleeping in their bed. The mum would wash the clothes. I'd be getting hot dinners, get in the bath and shower. I'd feel amazing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't stay for longer than a day or two because I felt like I was imposing. So, yeah, I kind of did that for a while. And I had some experiences in hostels. I went to a hostel twice. First time I was just like, this is fucking shit. How shady are these hostels back in the day. And the second one really kind of nailed it on the head because there was some really, really bogey predators there. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, you all right? You want some of that? Yeah, I'm a young fella. I'm like, straight away, I couldn't stand up for myself at home or in school where I was bullied. But see, out in the street, I didn't give a flying fuck. I stood up to everybody. I upended a certain individual. And that was it. I'm like, I'm safer living in doorways. I'm safer doing whatever I'm doing with my big mob of friends, you know. And then I got into, I was fighting on the street, fighting with everybody. And then I got barred out of a heavy metal club, McGonagall's. You remember McGonagall's?
I remember McGonagall's.
You were a bit too young for McGonagall's, eh?
Yeah, I'm in 20.
Oh, no, you're lucky. But I used to go to McGonagall's heavy metal club. And again, I think it was all this stuff from when I was a kid coming up. I was able to not defend myself, but defend other people that were being bullied.
Yeah.
So, of course, then I was getting into fights. And I found that was okay at fighting. And then one of the bouncers, I got barred. There was a guy beating the shit out of his girlfriend, and the bouncer come up to me and he goes, look, this fella's had to slapping the head off his girlfriend. Well, I would have been kids at the time. Any chance you can sort them out? Easy peasy, send them out. Yeah, I left that poor chap in an awful state. I left, and I frightened myself. I'm like, I'm at to doing something fucking terrible. I think I'm at to killing that guy. Yeah. But then after that, I was just like, do you want to make a few quid or there's a few gargles in it for you? This fella is out, he's looking for a scrap. And then I got into fighting. Proper organised fights, yeah. No, we didn't have loads, but I had a few. Yeah. You know, tough fucking things. But you know when you're a kid, you know, and you come from a certain lifestyle. It's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah. The thoughts of it now, I'm like, Jesus. Yeah. Just to take it back about something that I'm fascinated with, is this thing of forgetting trauma. And I've had it in my own life, you know, just as you get older and you just start getting introspective and you're trying to figure out what's going on with me, and little things come back, you go, geez, I forgot that. And there was a great show called The Virtues. It was by Shane Meadows. He wrote and directed it. Shane Meadows behind This Is England and that. Loads of Dead Man Shoes, loads of other great films. Amazing. And Shane Meadows had an experience when he was a child where he was sexually abused by 2 older kind of teenagers. Completely forgot it. And had this destructive behaviour throughout his life. And went to therapy. And it all came up out of therapy. And he couldn't believe it. And he wrote a whole TV show based on it, and it's fucking powerful. I must have Stephen Graham is the lead in it, who was a world-class actor.
That the one Lewis Brophy's in, is it?
Lewis Brophy's in it. Lewis Brophy plays one of the young fellas who actually abused, you know what I mean? Who's based on his life. So amazing, but it was just such a fascinating idea, because so many people go around not even knowing trauma. Trauma even exists. Never mind the trauma we forget. How common is that, Tiernan?
Well, that's what the unconscious is there for, you know. It's the cellar that you push memories, you know. And the thing is, sometimes you doubt yourself because there's certain accounts that you don't recollect 100%. Because you bury them so deep, and there's a lock in the door, you know. And I suppose sometimes you think it's false memories. You think, is this a kind of and you start to question yourself, which kind of makes it worse in ways, because then you don't know what's reality and what isn't, and what happened, what isn't. The fact. But I suppose that is the power of the unconscious. The unconscious is there for a lot of things, but it's there to keep us going. So I suppose if we come across, you know, really traumatic events in our lives, how do you get up and get going the next day? You know, you have to, at some point, things have to be put in the cellar. The files have to be put away. The thing is that if it's really traumatic and it really goes against our core, it's something that's really hurtful, we put walls up and doors up, and then we forget that it's even there. And then eventually what happens is you go to therapy or you go to a hypnotherapist, and they start to unlock these doors and break down the walls, and you get a glimpse in, maybe for the first time in years. Yeah. And then you wonder, did that actually happen, or is it just a figment of my imagination or a false memory? But in reality, that's the way it is a way for the brain to be able to function when life gets really, really hard, you know, because I suppose we do have to continue going. Yeah. So then later on, when you get through all of the really traumatic stuff, you were on the streets and it was really difficult, then you're more inclined to go and seek therapy to kind of unpack everything that's going on. And I suppose it does, the problem with the unconscious is it drives your behavior, but you don't know why the behavior is being driven, like. Yeah. So when you get in and you open these locks and get into the cellar and you look around and you see what's going on, you then understand why you behaved in a certain way.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean,
what was that moment for you where you connected your trauma with your destructive behavior?
I had a massive breakdown, and I ended up in the hospital, James Connolly Hospital. And I think everything just, my brain just went, I've had enough now. And everything was like looking into a big bright light. I didn't know where I was or what I was doing. And seemingly a friend of mine at the time, he brought me to my own doctor. They sent me straight away up to James Connolly, and they got me into the psychiatric cycle department, whatever. Yeah. And then it all came out, and it's like, that's probably 15 years ago. But I would always be dealing with anger. When I was a kid, they sent me to anger management and stuff like that. But I didn't know why. I couldn't put, the jigsaw was so sparse, I couldn't put any of the pieces together. But with that breakdown, I just went, it was an epiphany, a light bulb moment. I went, oh, that's why I behave certain ways, even though that's not really who I am at the core. I'm a very soft, gentle human being. I like to be respectful, I like to have integrity. But in certain moments of my life, I was a firebomb, a madness. Yeah. And doing all stupid, crazy stuff.
Because I recognize you, like, you know, obviously we're kids growing up and stuff, and I recognize you as this lovely, warm person, you know? And it, like, irregardless of what was going on in the background, I seen the true self. Do you know what I mean? So the kids are out playing, they see the person who they're playing with, as opposed to what's going on in their life. And I always remember that about you, you know? And then it's a case of, you know, all of this had an effect then and drove you to a certain behaviours. Do you know what I mean?
Of course. I think, look, it's survival mode, and you hit the nail on the head. And the words you're at the saying there, it really helps me understand it even more. Because from my perspective, no matter how far you go through your life and you've dealt with trauma and you've kicked yourself in the face so many times for things that you've done wrong, and you kind of go, what the fuck? And you always second guess that. And even in 2 weeks' time, I could do something stupid. Who knows? Yeah. But I'll second guess, why did I do that? And I did I do that from 20 years ago? And then I'll overthink something. Well, I remember talking to that guy, and I did something there. What the fuck? So it's very nice, and it's empowering for me to hear you, not only on a friendly level, but on a professional level. Yeah. For me to get that medicine off you, I'm like, okay, that's okay. You know, that's all, because I still deal with trauma every day. Like.
Yeah, it's so funny, isn't it? Because you think, like, it's like what Tiernan always says, like, there are no answers, just better questions. Because me, you know, I got obsessed with getting the fucking right answers here, and let me fix this, because I'm this obsessive cunt that wants to fix things really quick.
And you want it done.
I want it done. I want it done immediately. I'm a cunt. Like, I was just with somebody today, and I was with somebody today who needed a chat, someone I love, and they're so like me as well. Like, so like me. And I was just looking, and I was looking in the fucking mirror at him, and I was going, look what fucking poor Tiernan has to deal with in the edit. I swear to God, man. Honestly, and I was like a trainee from Tiernan coming out with all this great advice. I was like, if only you can take this advice myself. And I was like, man, where are you getting this shit? I was like, fucking this psychotherapist dude I know. But it's gas, like these things, you think that you dealt with them and now it's over and I can move on. And it's not like that. Yeah. There is no quick fix. There are no answers. As Tiernan says, they're just better questions and a better way of looking at it, isn't it, Tiernan?
Yeah, and asking those questions. And sometimes we don't even know the question. So I think when you go through these traumatic events and you get a bit of a kind of, I suppose when that wall comes down, a breakdown is like the breakdown of the wall, and it floods out.
100%.
But when you get that moment when the floodgates open and everything, you know, you have to deal with all the issues of your past, you realize then that you're never going to get answers to some of these things. Yeah. These things were just, you know, things that you can't explain. You know, they were, you know, unjustifiable, you know, and you can't explain them. So you're never going to get an answer for these things, but you will get a sense of asking better questions of yourself and how you're going forward in your life as a person who's come from that experience. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I don't let my past define me. I try and just be my true self, and I have a mantra every morning when I open my eyes, if I do sleep or if I can actually get out of bed, depending on where my brains are at the moment. I tell myself, try to be a better human being than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if I fail, I'm going to try. And once I try to be that better human being, I'm on the right foot straight away, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm allowing myself to fail. And I'm allowing myself to fuck up, but be conscious of it and sit back and go, hold on a minute. Why did it happen? You know what? You're coming to a roundabout in the car and somebody pulls out in front of you. I used to try and rip the steering wheel. You know?
Yeah,
I know.
Oh, just don't, stop.
Yeah.
Like years ago, I followed a guy for 2 miles up the Malahide Road. 2 miles.
I'm not even going to get into what I
Here you
done.
go.
I can't, it'll incriminate me. Oh, I get that. That's where you just go, the Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You fucker cut me off and you didn't even wave.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like, oh.
me. I pulled the guy out through his Jeep window by the face. Come here, you. Because he thought I was a piece of shit. I'll fucking show you.
Yeah.
Again, the wrong thing to do because no matter what happens at that moment in time, I'm going to jail.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't want to go to jail. I'm a
These
good looking
choices,
man.
yeah.
Passed around like
God knows what happened in there.
He'll see the beard and he'll go, here you, man. And I have a lot of experience. So, no, I realised then, I was just like, no matter what that dickhead is doing, he's just taking up rent in your head.
Yeah.
He's going to be a dickhead tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to jail, be a dickhead? No, take a deep breath. Now, I learned that after I pulled him through the window and had a very stern conversation with the man. But
Sometimes you have to hit rock bottom.
I think his name was rock bottom. I hit him a few times. What are you going to do? You know, past life. But I don't let me past define me. I try to be good, and I try to surround myself with good people. Like
I see that with you, man, from day one.
Yeah.
You make a real effort to be very respectful.
Yeah.
And you lead with your heart.
Yeah, 100%.
And you're very open.
Yeah.
Very open.
Yeah.
And this is the thing we talk about, actually. And Tiernan was like to me, that, John, is your best quality, to be open, to let me know that that's a good thing.
Yeah.
To be open and changing your thoughts and changing opinions and open the conversation, because you discovered that through literally your own doing your own science on the thing, turning your own studying, didn't you? But the
I did. You know, obviously, openness as a personality trait is a hugely beneficial thing. You know.
Yeah.
But I suppose, in my own life as well, I've been presented with situations like yourself, you know, that in the sense where you have to be
rip his head off or don't rip his head off.
open to circumstance and open to the prospect of consequences, and then assessing it very quickly, doing a cost-benefit analysis, and
Jail or not jail?
and say to yourself, "Well, I'm a good-looking guy too."
I'll meet you down the back of the cell block.
Oh, Jesus Christ. God, I wish that would happen to me. Oh, God. Oh, that's funny. Oh, but openness, it is so important. It's so important, isn't it?
I think so. That openness and honesty about who you are and who you want to surround yourself with is very powerful, I believe.
Yeah.
And the more I'm open about that, and I just try and keep growing and growing and growing in that openness, the more I'm finding the people that I really need around me.
Gravitate towards it.
Exactly, because look, we all lived a few lives as we were growing up, and you're with the wrong type of people and you're doing the wrong type of shit, and then all of a sudden you have the name for being that type of person. There's trouble. Get that fucking idiot to do it. Yeah. And all of a sudden you're kicking indoors and you're doing shit, you know, and you're looking at permanently debilitating somebody or lots of people and yourself, you know, and then it's not the effect on arseholes who obviously well deserve it, you know, but it's on the people around you that actually care about you and love you. Like, what? How are they going to cope with that? So I've learned through all my trauma and being a dickhead, but being a dickhead but still being nice and respectful.
Nice and respectful.
The people who would be dickheads would be people who would be bullying somebody else, whether it was physically or emotionally or whatever. I would just like, take fucking
because you could just identify so much with the victim
straight away.
That's a natural thing. I was the same with me growing up, getting bullied. Me and my brother Joe was bullied a lot, and bullied by adults as well, who were, because our father committed suicide. He was a traveller, and we're travellers, and it's this thing. If if you don't have a father, like you've no one to look out for you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so me and Joe got a lot of that, and I just took just numerous beatings after beatings, and one day I just got sick of it. Like I got a bad one, and it was blood all over my face and cuts over my eyes. And my mother was saying, "What's wrong with you? Like, are you fighting back?" I said, "I am fighting back." Like, but they're just baiting the shit out of me. Like, I'm fucking 12. This person's 15. So it's a big difference at that age, you know what I mean? And I said, I just can't do this no more. And I went and joined a boxing club. And I went up with my two friends up to Darndale Boxing Club, and went up to Bardler, fella from Sheriff Street. We were talking about in another episode, Tiernan, who was a hero to me, like, and I was like a father figure too, but a hero and an activist. And he came over to us, right? And this fella would not exist in this PC world. He's still training, but he's had to tone it down a little bit. The lads had to have a chat with him. You can't talk like this to kids, you know. But he come over to us, right? He's like 12, like me and my friend's 12, and his other little brother's like 10 or whatever. This is your first night, your last night. When you finish tonight, get your coat, get the fuck out of here. And I was like, okay, Jesus Christ, I was coming over to train and learn how to fight like this. Trying to kill me, right? So anyway, you do a little warm up and whatever, and we went out onto the road, and you do up the prize up and back, and he's looking at you and seeing if you're going to put the effort in. Yeah. And I was a good athlete, and so I put the effort in, and I sprinted that road. You know, I didn't jog and I sprinted it. I smoked everybody. And he was like, brought me up to the club, done some pads with me, and I just hit the pads like I was hitting fucking my worst enemy. Oh yeah. So at the end of the night, he comes over and he said to the other lads, "Well, you two fuck off. You can stay." Because he never put the effort in. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then within we hadn't won an All Ireland in 5 years at the time. So within 6 months, I won a Leagues, a Leinster's, a Dublin's, and an All Ireland. Oh. The next year, I won them all again, and then I went to the Four Nation, and I got a silver medal, which fucking killed me. The next year, I did them all again, and I got the gold medal. That's phenomenal. And I was ready. Yeah. And I literally made a list, and this is no joke, I made a list of all the people who bullied me. And I got them back one by one, and I bet the shit out of them. Like, I remember one fella came across him in a pool hall. I broke pool cues off his head. I was about 15, 16. Got them all back, and I was the same as you in that way. I know you're similar, Tiernan. Though when I saw someone getting bullied, like that was a straight in for the kill.
Just a big trigger.
I bullied the bulliers.
It's a trigger.
Yeah. It's I just can't watch someone getting bullied, lads, or getting demeaned. Yeah. Even if it's just verbally, demeaning somebody because you can beat them physically. That fucking triggers me big time. You know what I mean? So I can relate to that, and that's a thing I don't think you ever lose, lads.
No, it's in you, and it's in you because, well, for me, I don't want anybody ever to feel the way I felt. Yeah. Because I just wanted to fucking die. I just get me out of this. So if I think that anybody's going to feel as bad as I felt in them times, if I can stop that, I'll fucking stop that.
Well, you're basically in those moments. It's a really powerful thing, and I can imagine emotionally and physically you would have been very powerful, right? Yeah. As an emotional rage, and the physical strength you would have had to be phenomenal.
Would that be the psychotic grades kind of thing we talked about in a way?
It would be in some respects, but I suppose the other thing is that it's a case of, you know, living. You're probably living vicariously. You know, we talk about actors and stuff, vicarious kind of experience, but you're probably trying to be the person that you wanted to protect you as 100%. Well at the time.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there, my brother. Yeah, 100%.
You're defending yourself.
That didn't come.
Yeah. You're protecting yourself.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going to make me cry now.
But again, because you're saying that, I'm getting all of these pictures in my head of all of these other times, and just like, yeah. I waited 4 years to get a guy. Yeah. 4 years. And I got him. Yeah. And then I'll say about it. It was very good. Yeah, it was very good. And
they're the ones I don't regret. I don't regret getting back to bullies.
No, him. And there was another guy, because I did the doors for a long time, you know. And I won't say where this door was, but I did it for a good while. And one of the days, I was sitting there having my dinner. I got a phone call off the guys. I'm like, oh, Sunday afternoon, I'm getting a plate of dinner handed to me. Day off. Such and such is in the pub. I'm like, right, how many is there? Oh, there's a few of us, but can you come down? I'm like, motherfucker. So anyway, I put me dinner down. It was a big mistake because I was hungry. Got in the car, flew down to this pub. And there's a gang of doormen standing at the back door. No, I'm a nothing. I'm a nobody. I'm just like, we're all the same here. I'm nobody special, never was. I'm just very passionate and open and blah, blah, blah. And, such and such is in the bar. I said, well, who let me in? We came in before we started. said, well, who served them alcohol? Oh, well, such and such a barman. I went, motherfucker. So I went in the door, and this guy is sitting at a table like this, except it was high, with all his friends. And he was a bit of an individual around that area. I was just like, brother, you got to go, man. He says, like, you won't make a show of me in front of my mates. And I went, you're just going to have to leave. So he wouldn't leave. So how do I put this? I just smashed his head off the table and I picked him up by the throat and I fucked him out the back door. That's the basic way of saying it. And all his friends just went, oh yeah, Daithi's here. We'll just leave that out, right? Yeah. And then when I got him out, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You know you're not allowed in here. This is what happens. Stop. I know where you live. I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to rape your board. First off, I hate that term, board. How demeaning is that to women? I fucking hate it. Anyway, I went, you what? And then...
Yeah. Nuclear bomb went off.
Yeah. I chased him down the street. Like a fucking lunatic. Like an absolute lunatic. I chased him down the street. And there was a chipper just getting ready to open. And the shutters was half up. And he just went underneath the shutters. And he went, ha ha. And I went underneath and went, ha ha ha. So the two of us looking at each other. And the women behind the counter having a shy hemorrhage. I bet him like he was a fucking piece of shit. And then about 2 years later, there was a knock at my door. Well, I was getting work done in the house, and there's a neighbour across the way, and he's just like, oh, my friend will get rid of that rubbish for you. I'm like, sound, send him up. Knock at the door, opened it. Who's at the door? Same guy, all fucked up. I was just like, get the fuck away from me door, you fucking idiot. Gone. But he went from being this big guy in the neighbourhood to, I'll collect your rubbish in my van. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that I had that ability to go that far, which is quite scary. Yeah. You know, and I'd been in situations before where I've done awful things to awful people. Yeah. But that's not me. Yeah. Me is who you've got to know and who you've known since we were kids. It's that nice, caring
Man, I can relate. I've done awful things as well to awful people. Yeah. And I will go fucking full Devo Max there.
Yeah, 100%.
You confront me, and I've done it in the past. And most of it I don't regret. You know what I mean? Maybe too far here and there. Take it back to the fighting, though, because when you were fighting in the streets, that's before you got into actually training fighting, was it?
Well, I started off as a kid. The first thing I did was judo as a young kid. And so there was 3 of us at the time. There was me, the older brother, and then the other older brother. And we got this, you just need to do something. What do you want to do? And the 2 boys chose karate because we were watching Bruce Lee movies, right? Yeah. And I chose judo. I didn't know what the fuck I was getting into. And I love judo. So, and even now with my training with jiu-jitsu, I still have that judo base. I wasn't a kid. I did some competitions. I missed out on a European bronze and stuff like that. It was great crack. But I come from a boxing family. Glasnevin Boxing Club is kind of where I did
proper old Dublin club, famous club. Yeah.
So my uncle Tony Quinn, who's originally from Crumlin, and he represented the country all them years and years ago. He brought us down to the club, and my cousin Paul, who I'm still so close with, which is just phenomenal.
That's not Tony Quinn there.
No, not the crazy. No, not that fucking Tony Quinn. No, this is a good human being, Tony Quinn. Now he's batshit crazy as well from all the boxing. But I spent a lot of time in the boxing club. But like my mother wouldn't buy us fuck all. So when people had runners, I had sandals, you know. So I'd have to run from the arsehole of Poppentry, so the house in Druid Court, all the way through Ballymun down to a Glasnevin Boxing Club, where my cousin would beat the shit out of me, right? Now, gently, right? He was just a very, very good, classy boxer. It wasn't a fighter, it was a boxer, and he fucking amazing. And then I'd have to run home, and that was a constant thing. And that's where I learned some of that. Now, in the club, I was fucking atrocious, but outside, I'll have a fucking go.
That's a good point, because it's gas. Like, the amount of people I've encountered in my life that think that you could automatically just fight a boxer and win. Yeah. It's the most stupidest. They're the most stupid people. They don't understand. Like, if you have 6 months of boxing training, you beat 90% of people.
100%.
Like, just through technique. Fighting is technique.
Absolutely.
And it's the thing I describe of, like, whether you have a heart or not, a fighter's heart, how to protect. You don't even want to have to access that. And how you protect that is, imagine a lamp, and there's a fire in the lamp. And if you're lucky enough to have that fire, that's your heart. But technique is the glass around that protects it. So you don't even have to go there. You don't even have to access that place. And the amount of lads you go around and they're a fighter. And I used to go up and going, they're a fighter? Why? Because we all went to boxing clubs. So he just goes around just fighting people? I don't think he's going to be a very good fighter. He's not going to last very long. Like, as soon as you meet someone that can actually, 6 months in boxing, 6 months in a martial art. You know what I mean? You're going to you're going to kill more civilians.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And but that's technique is the thing. And with kids, it's so important, man. It's drill the fucking technique and
drill it into
protect
them,
give them. Darren the box club was great at that at a young age, drilling technique to protect yourself, as much as you can, and so you don't even have to go to that fucking place where you're taking fucking punches in the head. Like
absolutely, 100%. And like with all martial arts I've done, and I've touched quite a lot. Whether it's Wing Chun, whether it's a little bit of Taekwondo, whether it's Kempo Karate, I did that for a while in High Street with all the guys up there. Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I did kickboxing. What else? I did a little bit of Thai boxing. So I've touched on lots of stuff. And then I've did, where did I get that from? I've done, does it like that's the way I changed that?
Yeah, you shifted there.
I know. There's the Ballymount. Yeah, I did that for years. So I've done some unarmed combat instructor courses, and I've taught them and all that kind of stuff. My love at the minute, and has been for the last few years, is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And that, everything in that is technique. So as you were saying, John, technique is everything. And I'm looking at guys that make us three guys look small, right? Getting schooled by young fellas and young ones. Schooled.
Isn't that the sort of the idea behind jiu-jitsu, that it was designed to be technical so it didn't, size doesn't come into it?
Exactly.
So to protect people who are smaller. That's the origin of the original Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Well, the original Japanese jiu-jitsu is kind of, it's battlefield jiu-jitsu. So where the Japanese guys were going around with their katanas in their armor. So that's where you get the basic stuff from. And through that battlefield jiu-jitsu came judo and aikido, and then modern stuff is Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and all these other things came from that. So the Brazilian jiu-jitsu stuff is, as you said, it's how can the little guy beat the big guy? And it's been proven time and time again.
Over and over.
And it's, I just absolutely love it, and it's so technical. It's a chess game. It's human chess. That's what they call it.
It's ultimate problem solving.
Absolutely.
That's what it's described as.
Absolutely.
And the fellas who are the best at it are super high IQs.
High IQ, super intelligent, amazing athletes, and they live and breathe jiu-jitsu, and they would equate their life to jiu-jitsu. So when somebody's on top of you trying to strangle you to death, right? And how you stop dying is you tap and your mate goes, "Oh, you're all right," and then you go again. Any part of your life that gets you down, like the struggles that I would have, or you would have through dealing with trauma, or dealing with whatever, and be like, oh, I've been in this before. I can feel the pressure on my brain. I'm looking for a fucking way out here. Okay, just take a breath, breathe. It's like some guy, 20 stone, trying to strangle me. I know how to get out of this, and I know how to strangle him. So take a time, take a breath. Okay, what do I need to do to survive this moment? So they all equate it to life. I equate it to life, and it's really helped me, you know.
And it humbles you, that kind of thing. Same with boxing. You go in and, you know, I remember going in sparring, I'm going to smash this fella up. Boom, 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 baiting the shot. Oh shit! There's someone better than me. There's another fella better than me.
There's always somebody better.
There's always someone better, lads. And you get fucking humbled. You go, okay, stay humble now. Because this fella, because I remember doing a bit of brag at one time, and I won, like, because I never lost a fight in 5 years of boxing. And then I finally lost the fight, and I was a braggadocious cunt, like. My ego went through the roof because of low self-esteem, and gave me confidence over bullying. I got bit, and I went in, cup of tea. I'm going to drink a cup of tea here. And the boys are going to laugh, and I thought it was fucking Nassim Hamed. Because then anyway, lost, came out broken on my ego.
It's horrible.
Where do I go from here?
Like, it hurt in my core. I lost my identity.
Your
I was
soul
unbeaten.
was destroyed.
You know what I mean? But it fucking humbles you, know. And the trainer came back. You won't stop the fucking bragging anyway, will you? I'll stop now. I never bragged again.
I've learned the lesson.
Well, you need to be humble, though.
You do.
You need to be humble. And again, I see it in the jiu-jitsu school. Just, it's humbling. You've no choice.
It's a kind of a philosophy of life, isn't it, really? Like, it teaches you kind of core kind of principles about kind of just understanding how to deal with problems and situations that present. And I suppose this is a very physical, immediate problem that you have to deal with. Somebody's trying to choke you out. But it you know, it's like something you better take take serious at that particular point in time. But you can transfer, as you said, you can transfer that into other aspects of your life. You know, you survived a stranglehold. You know, you can survive anything, like
100%. It's one of them that it makes me understand my struggles in life better. Like, but even going to the jiu-jitsu school, I have to fight to get there. I've often pulled up outside the school, and I'm just like, oh, I can't do it, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know, I could sit there for the whole length of the class outside in the car.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Sometimes I can't get out of bed to do it. I can't leave to do it. But I'm surrounded by really good people. I would have the same energy as yourselves and the understanding of how I process things. And they're like,
Yeah.
no stress, don't you? Whenever. You know?
That jiu-jitsu community is very open-minded.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them get into it for mental health problems. And there's a huge influence from Joe Rogan and the people he would talk to, the therapists and all that. There's a whole culture around jiu-jitsu that is so very different than other combat sports, like, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And martial arts.
No, absolutely, and it's a real martial art that's being tested against everything else. But the openness and the community from people is phenomenal. Like in my job in the clinic as a physical therapist, I get all kinds of people from everywhere. But I get so and so from that jiu-jitsu club, so and so from that jiu-jitsu club, and nobody talks bad about each other. They're just like, oh yeah, see this guy and you see what he did, and it's a beautiful thing to be involved in.
Like
you
brotherhoods, like, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And of course, there's women, a lot of women doing this.
Well, like the last patient I had from Team Rhino, and that's my school. That's where I train under Andy Ryan, who's just phenomenal.
He's like black belt judo.
He's black belt judo, black belt jiu-jitsu. He is absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. And again, you look at Andy and you go, holy shit, he's a big guy. And you go, he's a big scary human being. And I suppose he can be, but what an absolute gentleman. And he does all of this wonderful stuff for the community in jiu-jitsu and martial arts, and he doesn't tell anybody about it. Like guys who are doing really well in their own clubs, he's kind of in the background, there you go, there you go. But that's the lifestyle. I love that. I love that lifestyle. But I mean, jiu-jitsu for me is just, it kind of saved me a little bit, without sounding kind of corny. It saved me even when I can't get down because my brain won't let me, or I'm fighting with myself. I'm trying to get off the magical roundabout, I call it. I'm like, I need to get out of here. The boys will be understanding. They'll drop me a message. I don't even have to reply on my phone. They just know I'm letting you know I'm here. And then when I eventually get, can slow the roundabout down a little bit, I can get off and I can go back training, and all the guys are really cool. But this is how dangerous it is. Like, I can give you a litany of my injuries, and 90% of them are from jiu-jitsu. The last one I got a fractured neck, a fractured C3 from, and I had an arm triangle. Only because my jiu-jitsu was cold, I'd missed a bit, and I was thinking about an escape. I was like, oh yeah, I can feel it, the choke's coming on. I tapped now, but and the guy,
damage is done. Like,
but like I didn't realize going around with a fractured neck for 2-3 weeks. And when I told my friend, he was like, he was brokenhearted, and I'm like, we were just sparring. Imagine if he wanted to fucking kill me. He'd kill me. I'd be dead. Yeah. I'd be dead. But that's the power of that jiu-jitsu. But what I like about it is we'll spar really heavy. There's no hiding. It's like boxing. Yeah. Or Thai boxing or judo. There's no hiding. Your technique will win. Otherwise, you're getting the head poked off you, or you're getting strangled. Yeah,
these are the practical martial arts that we're talking about, the Muay Thai and the judo, jiu-jitsu and boxing. They're the ones that actually can be applied in a fight, where there's a lot of bullshit, as you know.
Oh my
God.
And
they just don't work. And they are what they say they are, martial arts. They're not actually practical.
There's no martial in them. They're just an art form.
Exactly.
And it's nice to kind of differentiate between the two of them. A lot of people don't get it, but it also comes down to the practitioner. If they have that in them to do whatever. But there's no hiding in these martial arts. And after a spar, no matter what, if it's a standing spar or rolling around on the ground spar, you clap hands. The first thing we do is clap hands, bump fists. Okay, let's go, and we'll work on something. And you get tapped out, and you go, "Yeah, all right, yeah, that was fucking amazing the way you got me with that. Right, let's go again." I love that.
The physio thing, man. How did you get into that?
It was a kind of a strange thing. I kind of fell into that, John. To be honest with you, my wife at the time had blown the 3 discs in her lower back, right, L4. L5 and S1, and she used to work for a big company repairing photocopiers and laser printers and all this kind of thing. So she was driving from place to place. She was carrying a toolbox, bending over machines, bending under machines, and she destroyed her back completely. But what she didn't really look at was she lost her mother, and the emotional stress of losing her mother, because she wasn't a very, oh my God, I'm so sad and I'm angry, not like me. I'm quite the opposite. She held all that trauma in. So I brought her to a friend of mine through martial arts, a guy called Austin Bradshaw, who was just a phenomenal human being. You love him. You really, really love him. He's like 6th or 7th degree in karate. He's phenomenal, absolute gentleman, and a guru for me. So I brought her to him, and he was like, all right, and he did all this magic stuff, which is basically, I'm going to press that and twist this and do that, and it was taking her pain away. I was like, holy shit. And at the time I was struggling with this. I was a bit ill, and I wasn't working, and he said to me, okay, bro, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some stuff to alleviate some of her pain, and then that'll kind of give you a little bit of a break coming to see me, and then when it's really bad, then just bring her to see me. And I'm just like, not only do I know this guy from training martial arts, and not only is he fixing Jackie, he's actually given me tools to save money to make sure we can eat. And he's going, what a beautiful human being, John. It's just amazing. And he's going, yeah, I need to pay my bills too, but you know what? What's important is you making sure yours are all right. And I took a massive lesson from that. And anyway, I was doing that, and he just said to me, you have a bit of a knack for this. A bit of a knack for being an arsehole, but not for something constructive. And I went back to school, went back to college in the NSRT, and I'm highly dyslexic as well. So I learned from doing. Reading books is, forget about it. Yeah. You want me to colour something in? Yeah, I'm okay at that, right? But
you're a practical learner.
I'm a practical learner, yeah. So, yeah, I went to college. When it came to exam time, they had a tutor sit beside me in another room. He'd call out the question. I'd answer it. He'd go, is that your answer? He'd write down word for word. And I did really well, passed my exams, and I just kind of grew from there. But I learned from that injury, it wasn't just the physicality of our job. It was the emotional trauma of losing our mother and not being able to deal with that caused that issue. So I'll just be a little bit technical with the body. There's a muscle in the body called the psoas muscle. It's your major hip flexor. And in air work, we call it the emotional muscle. That's the term that we use for it. And it basically, it sits on your lower lumbar spine, wraps around, touches off the hip, and then down into the groin, right? So it helps you stand up and bend over and lift your legs. So when we get emotional stress, that muscle will shorten. So if you think about it, your discs are sitting this way, your vertebrae and your discs are sitting that way. And the muscle that's attached, it decides, oh, fuck that, I need to shorten here because I'm not dealing with whatever in my life. That squashes the disc pop out, touch off the nerves, gives you massive pain. Look, for 6 months, I'd have to pick her up out of bed and try and strain her for 6 months. Do you get me?
Yeah, that's bad.
That's bad.
Yeah.
So I learned not only I need to touch somebody and feel how things are going and assess the body, I have to understand what's going on in their life, what emotional stuff, what physical stuff are they dealing with. And that was just an eye-opener for me.
You know what's interesting when you're talking about this, Dáithi, right? Like obviously we know each other and stuff like this, and I'm kind of putting all the pieces together from when I last seen you to where you've moved through life and stuff. And it's really interesting because you're talking about kind of you were brought into this kind of physical therapy, right?
Therapy is therapy.
And you're brought into it, and you're realizing that it was a kind of an emotional muscle, right? Yeah. I'm just using the words.
Yeah.
And then pain relief.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, the stories that you said, about kind of the way you were kind of protecting the vulnerable before and the bullies and disarming the bullies in a lot of ways. That was a way of you dealing with pain and trying to alleviate other people's pain. And isn't it funny the way you end up then in a career, which is alleviating other people's pain?
I know, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And you know what?
Isn't it?
And you said that therapy is therapy. Therapy is therapy. And when people come to me, and you know yourself, John, you've experienced it. Apart from me farting and trying to hug you while I'm working on
coming
you.
On
You're a good looking man. When people are on the plinth and you're working on them in certain parts, if I'm open, which I'm always open, they'll be open.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're just letting this out about their life and that about their relationship and this out about their stuff. Now, what we talk about is between us and nobody else. Yeah. But that makes my job easier because they're getting all this shit off their chest and out of their soul to go, oh, fuck me, that they may have never done with anybody else ever.
They can relax their muscles.
Of course they can. Yeah. They're relaxing their muscles, they're relaxing their soul, they're relaxing their energy, and I can get in and do whatever work I can. Yeah. Where they're getting physical relief, and they're also getting that stress relief, emotional relief. Yeah. Some people is spiritual relief. Yeah. I'll tell you this quick story. There was this woman came to see me a few years ago. And again, I was working on her. I had a clinic on the Ballyboggin Road. And she's a lovely girl. And anyway, she wasn't doing too well at home with herself, I'm like, all right, so this is my prescription. I took away some of her pain, but this is my prescription. Don't even talk to him when you go home. Just grab him by the hand. Up you go upstairs and fucking destroy each other. You want to see that woman skipping into me the following week? I swear to God. Want to see her skipping? Did that? How are you getting on?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I still fucking hate him.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you needed that relief. That primal relief to kind of go, I'm human.
Yeah.
I have these needs. This is now causing this injury. I'm dealing with this a lot better. Now I just have to deal with sorting this fucking idiot out, you know? And they're still very happy together.
Yeah, well, that's great. That's a good news story.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Freud would have had a same kind of thing. He was dealing with hysteria, which was a psychosomatic, psychological issue, and it was the same kind of principle. So very Freudian. The Freudians out there would
Right,
would
and
love that
Dr.
story.
Gabor Mate, Tiernan talks about that. I know you're a big fan of him.
Yeah, indeed.
Going back to what he's saying about the emotional thing connected with the injuries, he talks about trauma creating diseases, creating cancer, diabetes, whatever it may be, and that's his belief. Like he's a leader in trauma, isn't he, Tiernan?
Yeah.
And it just makes so much sense.
And such a humble man.
So humble, oh my God. And like I just listen to him speak at night time, man. He just soothes you. But deeply, deeply humble, and just so much humility and so much knowledge in the way he just passes it. He's a gem. But that was another one, just that trauma actually creates disease and can fucking kill you. And it's a documentary called The Wisdom of Trauma. And he interviewed loads of people who went through severe trauma and then who ended up fucking either having cancer or diabetes or whatever kind of life-changing disease. It's just a very interesting concept. Like our like how our mind and body is connected back to your belief, the mind and the body, Tiernan.
I'm with you on that.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
Like it's mad. It's so complex, and we so much we fucking we don't know.
Well, this is the thing. We're all caught in our heads most of the time, and we forget about everything else that's attached to it. You know this.
Yeah,
everything is linked. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, the head is a great place to live. Do you know what I mean? But if it's the only place you live,
it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
No, I agree. We're on the same one there. You look at stress is the biggest killer, isn't that what he said?
That's stress,
heart attack, stroke, cancer, you name it. Stress from the human body, because people don't know how to deal with stress. How do you deal with stress? Find something that suits you. Whether that's going for a hike in the mountains, or it's going for a swim, or it's doing martial arts, or reading a book, or looking at the clouds,
or acting.
Beautiful. What a beautiful art to be involved in.
Creativity is just a great stress. Great for stress, isn't it? Like,
it is.
It really is. It's for you. Like, it's for you. It's your fucking thing. Like,
and also there's a spiritual aspect to it, because you're creating something that was not there before in some ways. You're giving life to something, and that in its own right is a very positive thing. Did you play Brian Boru or something?
I did, yeah.
What's going on? He has got a Brian Boru head in him.
Doesn't it? Well, I can see this cunt on a battlefield, man. You know them fucking, you know them. The old, I think we talked about them before. Tiernan, me and you might have been talking about them. Them old Celtic horns, the big. Remember? We were talking
the big
about
dragon ones, where the big psychological warfare.
There's a guy that actually does. There's an Irish guy. He goes around to schools, and he mimics them. They sound like a massive didgeridoo. Kind of I must send you on the link to it. It's absolutely.
I heard some of them now very scary, like. But could see this cunt fucking behind, or getting in front of one of them with a big fucking axe chopping heads off.
Sure, look.
That'll be you.
You have to do something with yourself, don't you? Stress relief.
That's before lunch.
Actually, we're in that whole that spiritual realm there, and the Irish stuff. You're a pagan.
I'm a pagan. Yeah, I would never put anybody down for wherever they want to believe in. I know what I believe in. I believe in the old gods. I'm not kind of a new Viking or whatever. I'm not a Viking. I'm a Gael. I'm an Irish man. I respect all cultures, all people, all religions. I believe in the earth goddess Danu. I believe in the sun god. I'm very respectful of nature. To me, science is nature, and vice versa. I'm very grateful for sunny days. I'm very grateful for rainy days. It's what gives us our food and what gives us health.
Gives us life, man. That stuff is way more logical than Christianity or any other religion. Like Danu is the god of.
She's the goddess of earth. She's the mother god.
So like you're believing in the earth, you're believing in the sun. You're believing in all these things that actually give humans life.
100%.
So it's far more logical. Like with in ancient Egypt, worship the sun, just the sun alone, or the god of Ra or whatever, gives us fucking life. Instead of this, this other, instead of these other gods up in a cloud, like
before science knew about.
You know what I mean. So it makes perfect logical sense, like. you know, where you get the Christianity and the other religions, and you know, it's all this up in the clouds and Golden Gate stuff like.
Yeah, I think in fairness,
and there's value to it.
No, there is value
in the morality.
And I suppose it's about kind of literal versus metaphor.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So if you take things literally when they're supposed to be metaphorical, then there's going to be a big difference in regard to what way you understand it. So I get, you know, every religion is a kind of it's a moral tale of a moral
interpretation as well, and not human being.
Great tales, great stories, Tiernan.
Yeah,
that's the early stories, you know, and that's, you know what I mean.
And this is how they pass down, you know, before before we have Google now, which is the history of mankind, the money machine.
Yeah.
But before that, you had people coming in, you know, you had, you know, religious people coming in and telling tales of morality and how to live your lives. A bit like us, like we're on the podcast now, and we're talking about little tips that might help people in certain positions. These were no different. And I suppose they had to have a manual, but back then, like, who's going to write the manual? Where do you start?
We had the Shanachie.
What did we start?
We had the Shanachie.
You talked about that in your last podcast. I watched the first one. It was great to watch. But that's all their stuff was handed down mouth to mouth. But I'm just a believer in the old ways, and it's all about being humble and being respectful of your surroundings and everybody around you.
And that old, like, I did a lot of research because I did that 3-part Traveller series. And we kind of had to find out where the origin of Travellers, and there was a natural DNA split 500 years ago, which coincided with a big coincidence, which was the reconquest of Ireland, which was the de-Gaelicization of Ireland.
That's right.
And I went further into it, and it's hard to be objective with your own community when you're from there. You know what I mean? Because I'm not some traveller that was just, you know, reared in a house and never seen his family. I reared in a fucking camp with 52 first cousins around me. And you kind of... There's so many traditions and customs among ours that I didn't realise were deeply rooted in Gaelic Ireland. One being the Tua clan culture, which, you know, is still trying to be broken up by, like, the Irish Free State government were more successful in settling travellers than the fucking British were. That's mad. But there's all these customs and traditions, and you see this stuff and you go, it's so fucking valuable, and the community that they had back then. Now I know they were all warring with each other. That's another thing. You know, there was probably 96 nearly 100 kingdoms in Ireland, the island of Ireland. But you would travel and you would live within your own little mini province, and you'd have your own family, and it was all about sharing, and it was all the bartering system.
Absolutely.
The Brehon laws. And it's funny because we, like, you go, like, how Irish are we, right? Modern Ireland, we've adapted the whole British system.
I think it's a link between them and America. Sorry, I'm going to cross. Look, we've a bastardization of our
now
culture
America in the last 20 years in terms of the pop culture we have all our institutions are essentially based on the British institutions.
100%.
And before the British institutions, you know, you had other empires. You had the Roman Empire, so you had Britannica. You know, we used to be known as Hibernia. Because soggy togas.
And then there was the Norman and the Vikings as well.
The Norman Vikings. So every great empire will, you know, you'll always have these satellites. You know, countries that will take on their customs and their laws and their ways of being, you know. So I suppose the British Empire, the American United States, could be argued that it's, you know, it's not.
It's done through modern means, but it's definitely it's a conquest through.
It's a global power.
Bubblegum kind of culture. That's what I would call it. There's no meaning. It's vacuous, you know. There's no depth to it, whatever. And you hit the nail on the head there, John. I mean, the travelling community hold on to a lot of our tribal Gaelic clannish traditions that people don't get. It's the same when you get loads of Americans coming here for Paddy's Day, and people here abuse them, calling them plastic paddies.
That's
I'm
terrible.
like, are you fucking kidding me? So when the best of our men and women had to leave this island through being starved to death, they brought culture with them. They brought our language, they brought our music, they brought all of that with them, you know.
What's that? Take them to you dig. That's where you dig.
That's
came
right.
From.
That's right.
And then the tap dancing came from a mixture of
Dancing
Irish
came
and Black
from
Kid. And then fucking jazz.
Jazz
came from Irish and
Cajun music, Appalachian music,
and Halloween.
Halloween.
Ooh,
fucking
sound.
Here we go.
Like, I mean, it's hard to separate the influence that Ireland had in America, which is in the world, then, lads.
100%.
You know, and those people, like, I go over there, and my God, you get embraced when you go over there as a proud Irishman. Of course, the Irish American community,
because they recognise. But this is the irony. This is the irony. Let's go back a couple of minutes, right? And we say that we're influenced by the Americans. but we influence the Americans.
I know, yeah.
So it's all a cycle.
Yeah, it is.
And this is something that you recognize, I suppose, with kind of paganism, that there is just natural cycles, and everything is a cycle. Like
Everything.
it's like we live in square boxes, but in reality, everything is circular. Like
Everything.
Yeah,
everything that goes around comes around.
Everything.
Yeah, it's gas. Yeah.
Life is a circle.
Yeah.
There's the moon moving around the earth moving around the sun.
Yeah,
Everything is a circle, you know. And that's the way it is. That's life.
And everybody,
death, rebirth into whatever.
And then everybody's going to be watching through their phone, which is a nice little square screen.
And it's gas. It's happiness, sadness, happiness, sadness. Oh, I dealt with this trauma. Oh no, you didn't 5 years later. You're going to deal with it again. Going around the circle.
Exactly.
It's gas.
How many times you want to go around? It's a bit like a kid in the playground. At what point does a kid vomit? When they're on one of those.
It's back to the thing you
just keep going faster. Just like, oh fucking, how to get off this magic roundabout? Get me the fuck off here.
Yeah, we can't have you on without talking about some of your overseas activity that I think would be very interesting.
Yeah. You're pulling them all out.
Whatever you can talk about.
All right,
you're very interested.
There's lots of stuff I can't talk about.
Yeah,
but there is
that,
stuff that I can talk about. So I'm lucky enough, I'm privileged enough to be involved in some overseas work in the Middle East, into some war zones, and it started off as just basically looking out for kids in refugee camps. So in Iraq, as we know, ISIS came in and completely obliterated the country. So he's a very good friend of mine, and I got to know him over years and years and years, and he would kind of drip feed me work because of a bit of experience in certain different aspects, whether it's military or physical or whatever else. You're starting to freak me out there. You're going to punch me in the head.
Bruce Lee thing.
He's getting ready for war.
I was getting excited.
Bring it with me.
I was seeing the fucking desert.
You were there. He was Lawrence of Arabia.
The ISIS flag and all. Lawrence of Arabia. All right. A good looking body. I'd be about 8 stone after 3 months in the desert.
I could see that camel coming from the distance.
Just a red face. All you see is a red face. No blue eyes. Just a red face.
As long as I can run faster than you, John.
You can't just me.
That's all that matters a lot of life. Do you know that?
I'd be like the child in Dune. Remember the uncle in Dune? Underneath this hill. Jesus Christ.
But he started drip feeding me work. He would bring people over from overseas, or I need you to kind of bodyguard this guy and blah blah blah. And be like, all right. And then one day he said to me, we've got an overseas trip. This would have been his second major one. And I'm like, okay, count me in. He goes, no, I need to tell you where it is. And this was at the height of this shit in Iraq. And he goes, we're going to Iraq. I'm like, fucking yes, I am all over that. Let me go. Here we go. What? And he went, calm the fuck down here. Like, it's Iraq. I'm like, we'd be brand new. Don't be worrying. So it was just a mission basically to get kind of monetary aid into refugee camps for kids. And because it got to do with children, I'm like, straight away. Straight away. I was just like, there's kids over there feeling at least what I felt, probably worse. Yeah. So if I can do some stuff, I'm all over it. So anyway, I've been back and forth maybe 7 times, I would say. I've done 7 tours, small. Some of them are a couple of days, some a couple of weeks, whatever. And you're in pretty nasty situations that can get quite hairy. But the first refugee camp we went to was a building in Erbil, right? So Erbil is in northern Iraq, and we would fly in from Dublin into Istanbul, get the plane into northern Iraq, and we'd be met by a couple of dudes, and they would bring us off to Erbil city itself. So I didn't realise this. So Erbil is full of Catholics. And I'm like, excuse me? Yeah, it's Catholics. I'm like, no, it's Iraq. No, it's Catholics, right? So I'm like, okay. So we went to the first refugee camp, which is a half-built building that the Americans would get contracts for. We're going to rebuild, blah, blah, blah. They do half a building, concrete, and that's it, and they move on to the next one. So these refugees from Mosul had come in, and they're just living in this place. 55-degree heat. There's no running water. There's no toilet facilities. There's no air conditioning. There's no shoes on the kids' feet. There's nothing, right? So I was prepared to be shocked. I wasn't prepared for the warmth and the love that I received of these people, which was just absolutely mind-blowing. And with all the scary stuff that happened, that's the thing that I'll remember the most was these people had nothing, and they were giving me everything they had.
it's almost like you strip away the, you know, every sort of possession.
Yeah.
And you're left with just humanity.
Yeah. 100%. You nailed it on the head.
And it's such a beautiful thing to see humanity, because sometimes we're so far removed from just that basic essence, isn't it?
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that part of it. Like, of course, it was a dangerous place to be in. And to say, oh, I'm not scared of that, that's a load of bullshit. You're always scared. But I'm always switched on. As soon as I get off the plane, everything's switched on. I'm good to go. But my friend, who was well clued in, he just said, look, we're coming through the duty-free in Istanbul. Let's buy a load of jellies. I'm like, okay, big bags of jellies. I'll try not to eat them because I'm a fucker for jellies, right? So when we got to the first refugee camp, and we met with all of these kind of people, and the leader of the refugee camp brought us into a room, which was probably 1.5 times the size of your studio here. And there was a couple of families living in this room. So their beds was pallets with a blanket on it, and that was their beds. They was giving us food. They didn't have food. Tea. Everything's done with tea. The best tea I've ever tasted in my life.
Yeah.
We'll go just for the tea.
Yeah.
I actually brought some Iraqi tea home, so I'll bring that over the next time.
Yeah.
And he offered us everything and blah, blah, blah. So I leave. The guys are doing the business. I'm there as security. My friend's there to do negotiation on whatever level he's doing. And I whipped out the bag of jellies. I was like the Pied Piper, handing out jellies. And it was kind of late November, early December when we got there for the first tour. And they had a Christmas tree in the corner. And of course, I'm there with a big bleeding white beard. The kids thought it was Santa Claus.
With the jellies.
With the jellies, handing out the jellies. And it was, I've loads of pictures on my phone. I'll show you at another stage. And it was just, wow. Look, even now talking about it, it's emotional. Yeah. To see hopeless kids with nothing. You give them a bag of fucking Haribo. And the light in their eyes, and you can see their soul lifting. And they're so happy. So I had about fucking 20 kids following me around the whole camp. But I loved every minute of it. And when we were sitting down talking to the head of the camp, he's just like, thank you. Yeah. And I'm like, it's all right, no. And he said, no, people don't realise what we're going through. Thank you for your help. I was like, oh, somebody's had to punch me in the chest there, man. That was just highly emotional to see these people. But there was other times we went to another refugee camp where there were Yazidi kids. Have you ever heard of the Yazidi people? Yeah. So the Yazidis, and man, they were getting it the worst out of any of the people in Iraq. They were getting it the worst. I mean, the women were just being used as concubines. They were being raped,
sold in slavery. And this was the access. Didn't they have to go up a mountain or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's
up
right.
a mountain, and it was like the world was watching, but there was nothing really.
There was nothing happening.
That was done.
Yeah. Like the first time we kind of tied in with the Christian militia that was fighting against ISIS, was a town called Karakosh, which has just been absolutely destroyed. And we got to work with the general, who was an ex-Iraqi general from the Air Force, had retired after the Americans, fucked up that whole country. And with ISIS coming, he decided, I'll take on this mantle again. This man's in his 70s, frail as fuck. He was a school teacher, went back to being a school teacher. And he decides, well, we need to mobilise and get our people ready to fight these motherfuckers. So he got a phone call one day off a friend of his, American general in Baghdad, just like satellites at the picking up ISIS. There's 2,000 ISIS fighters on the way to you. They had to mobilise their shit and get everybody out of the city. Now, I have to be careful what way I word this. There was another military group there that were told they were looking after these people, right? 2 weeks previous to ISIS getting there, that other group completely disarmed them people and left. Yeah. So they left them
completely
with nothing.
Defenseless.
Yeah, with nothing. And they had to clear out a small city of 10,000 people in the space of 2 hours. Some of the old guys and some of the young guys didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay and fight. We had the privilege and the honour to help them take their little city back. And when it all kind of cleared up, me and my friend got awards and all this kind of stuff. And
what happened there? You're going by too fast there now.
Yeah, I know.
We want to hear what happened there. What happened there? As much as you can say.
As much as I can say. So basically ISIS came in and obliterated everybody. And when people were caught, they were executed. If you don't conform to their type of Islam, they'll kill you. Women, they will sell them as sex slaves, or they'll use them as sex slaves themselves. Children, if they can't sell them, they'll kill them. Which is just the brutality of these people. It's just phenomenal. You know, it's sickening to know that there's, I can't even call them human beings. There's these individuals that are that depraved to do that to the innocent children, you know. So small Christian militia had banded together. They're called the NPU, the Nineveh Plains Unit, because and it's all in the Nineveh Plains is in the Bible. Again, as I said, I'm a pagan. I'm not a Christian, but doing the right thing is doing the right thing. So we got to tie in with these warriors from the Nineveh Plains who are so badly armed, and like, I'm looking at guys on the battlefield with sandals on and a t-shirt that's camouflaged that they got out of some shop at a market or whatever, you know. And that brings me on to another place where we got to go to the Whitehouse and all this kind of shit. But anyway, we helped basically get them back into their city. There's now commerce in their little city. People are trying to get back to as normal life as they possibly can in them situations. They held their first Easter parade, and we were there not only working with the general, but kind of guests too. We got mentioned in the Kurdish parliament by the Christian politician that looks after the city. And it was just a mind-blowing experience. I kind of had to walk away for one of the parts. I didn't want to be disrespectful, but
that event, that was all over the world news.
It was all over the news, yeah. It was all over the news.
The bell and all, wasn't there?
Well, that's another story, yeah. When we went into Karakush the first time, ISIS had taken the cathedral over, and it's the biggest cathedral in northern Iraq, and they're just using it to execute people in, you know. So me and my friend and a couple of militia guys, a couple of soldiers and a couple of police were armed, and basically to say that we took the town back, we ring the bell. So it's basically ring the bell, fuck you, this is ours now. We're getting ready and we're going to wipe you out. So we were up, there was shots being fired and sniper fire, and my friend actually has this on video. I just went, I've had enough of this, and I just got up and I just walked to the bell tower, and he's like, the snipers. I'm like, fuck it. But at that moment in time, you're like, sure, look, what's the worst that can happen? Maybe take me on my madness. Do you know what I mean? And you can't turn around and say you're not scared. Everybody's scared.
You get into those spaces, though. Don't you?
We talk about that, Tiernan, yeah.
We talk about this a lot.
Yeah,
which is that you do get into that space where death isn't something that you fear.
Something overrides it sometimes.
It's a kind of a right-wrong thing.
Fuck it then, yeah.
Yeah.
When it's your time, it's your time.
Fuck it thing,
yeah, 100%. 100%.
And how much you have faith in that fucker.
Yeah, no, it's just like
will be.
It's not my time right now. And there's been lots of instances over there where you're just like, it's not my time, which will allow me to do A, B, C, or D. Whether it's moving a group of people somewhere in one of them war zones or whatever. But anyway, we got to, my friend included, we got to get the bell. We hung the bell. We rang the bell. And that was on the news and CNN.
Yeah.
Which was just phenomenal, like, you know. And we had that little part of history. We played that, you know. It was amazing. And then, like, through all the war zone stuff that was going on, my friend had organised to bring a delegation from the town, that city, including the general, to the Whitehouse and the Pentagon. So I'm like, this is surreal for me. I'm sitting in the Whitehouse going, holy shit, I'm from Ballymun. I went from Ballymun to the fucking Whitehouse. And I'm standing in a suit, being all security guy. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
You know
here?
what I want to ask? Did they all have the runners at the end?
I'll tell you what happened. We, through negotiations, they all got full uniforms.
No way.
They all got proper weapons, and they got recognition, and they got a barracks built for them. And
so they could defend
themselves. I mean, I remember sitting at the end of a table, and it's all this political stuff going on. Again, I can only give you a little hint of what's going on. It's a big, huge table, 4 times the length of your house. You know, the Americans do things. This was actually in the Pentagon, which is a city in itself. It's fucking crazy. And the policymakers are deciding stuff with the Iraqi delegation and my friend, because my friend is just so intellectual. When he opens his mouth, people listen. They just, because he's so good at his job. So I'm sitting here, I'm here, and there's a big, huge guy sitting where you were, right? Not as big as you, maybe. But he's a big, huge guy, and I knew he was a military guy. And so he opens his pad, and he goes, you look like a military man. I'm like, being around, you know yourself, the wars of Ballymore and whatnot.
We had many.
Yeah, we had loads of them.
Veterans of the
vets,
80s in Ballymore.
I got me patch
Back in
and all.
Nam. Back in Mun.
Back in
Back in
Mun.
Ballynam.
I'm telling you. But he's just like, so what did these guys need? I'm just like, well, they've no uniforms. Their weapons are old Kalashnikovs and the magazines are hanging out of them. They've no tack vests, they've no helmets, they don't even have a barracks. He's like, okay. That was it. He was the man.
Jesus.
All of that up there was all the political highfalutin noise. And again, I mean, that had its place, but he's just like, so, tell me. I'm like, holy shit. Again, I got my poker face on. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
It's surreal, isn't it?
it's
He
completely
wanted someone
surreal.
on the ground to
Yeah.
tell him on the ground information how we
yeah.
can back these people up because they're allies.
100%. Well, you see, and here's the weird situation. Here's the political madness of it all. So, the Kurds and the Christians and the Yazidis and the Sunnis and the Shias are all in that area, right? And everybody is supposed to fucking hate each other. The Americans, through all their knowledge and wisdom and drones and all of that, didn't realize that the last bastion of Christendom in that area was being obliterated. And it was only when they were told by my colleague, my friend, blah, 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 this is what's happening. They were like, what? Why didn't we know this?
This is the thing. It's mad, isn't it? The way there's always these disconnects.
Yeah.
And you would think like there's great minds that would be experts. You know what I mean? You've got people who have, forged careers with being experts of what's going on in particular regions of the world. Like, and you wonder how these subtleties and these little things that have great importance don't get communicated up the channels. Like, it's bizarre. There's so many examples of that.
I think it's because it's a subtlety, as you said.
Yeah.
It's because it's so small. It's a subtlety. It's a nuance.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at the bigger thing, which is basically we need to smash all them shits. We need to make sure that we're putting money into this army because why? That's going to suit us in the future.
The macro,
we've
not
a
the
full
micro.
haul. Yeah.
And if you look at it as well, if you look at Iraq and Afghanistan, similar, like they polled people in Afghanistan and about 9/11.
Yeah.
Have you heard of 9/11? 98% of the country didn't even know of 9/11
of course,
happened. Something like 40% of Iraq even, which is, it's just crazy because these are the ones who are out isolated in deserts.
Yeah.
They're living like people in biblical times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
So they're going, who are these people out here? Some weird tribe. You know what I mean?
But isn't it strange? Because when you think back, I'm kind of going back and forth in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about the individual, the individual that is experienced trauma, the way you will lash out.
Yeah.
And you will try to find justice in whatever means it is. And if it's disarming a bully, that's justice, And it's funny the way America, 9/11, they reacted to that in a very similar way. They went out, and as you said, very few people probably didn't even know why there was an incursion there or whatever.
Taking the anger out of ones who weren't at fault.
Yeah.
Like we've all done.
Yeah.
They're doing the same.
And it's that internal trauma that draws you to lash out. Because sometimes lashing out is better than lashing in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
I like the way you said that. There's something else in my brain's going, ding, you fucking idiot. Now you know what that is. So, yeah.
But come here, from starting in Ballymun, right, and going through that level of trauma and the trials and the tribulations and the fights and the chaos and dealing with that fucking worst enemy, which is yourself in the mirror, to fucking ringing that bell.
Oh, yeah.
In Iraq.
Yeah,
like
phenomenal.
Fucking hell.
Yeah,
That's
phenomenal.
some fucking journey,
Absolutely
man.
phenomenal, yeah.
Fucking, choking out 1 million fellas in jiu-jitsu. But fucking hell, man.
Yeah, it's very surreal, John, in fairness. And sometimes I don't believe the stuff I've done myself. Like, I'm like, and I have the pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
And my friend was with me, and he was just like, how the fuck did I end up there?
Yeah.
How the fuck did I end up in the Whitehouse?
Yeah.
How the fuck did I end up in the middle of Iraq?
Yeah.
People shooting at you.
Yeah.
How the fuck did I end up commandeering a vehicle, right, and getting $5,000 worth of food and feed people? How did that happen? How am I able to give a bag of jellies to a kid that has no hope and no nothing, and just to see them smile for a half a second?
Yeah.
That's like, for me, that makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah.
That's the magic of it. My whole thing is if I have a chance to do something, I'm like, fuck it, I'll go. I'll give it a go. That's how I ended up in all of these martial arts. That's how I ended up in doing some TV and doing some movies and stunt work. That's how I ended up being in a punk band, a hardcore, heavy metal punk band. That's how I ended up doing all these things. Is I'm just like, yeah, fuck it, you know. And especially
down to your openness again.
Again, I've got to be open for it. And you know what, John? Just because you're sitting beside me and you're such a phenomenal actor. I remember the first time I actually did this. The first time I was ever open with myself. That way, I was in primary school. And this is mad. I don't even know why I'm getting this memory now. But I was in primary school, and I think it was probably second class, and there was the school play, and it was about St. Patrick. And they had these words. Somebody had to read lines. Who'll do that? Out of nowhere. And I was the quietest, sitting in the corner, afraid of fucking the world, little blondie fucker. I just put my hand up. I'll have a fucking go there. And from there, I just went, oh, this is actually rapid, you know?
The need to express, man.
Yeah.
Again, we talk about this.
Yeah, the need to express, the need to be heard. And, you know, I suppose in that part of your life, you weren't being heard.
I wasn't.
So it's a way of kind of saying, hello, look, I exist.
You weren't being loved.
Do you know what I mean? And you probably challenge one of your greatest fears to just be heard. Like.
Yeah. I think sometimes that's why I can be very, in some parts of my life, loud and crass and overbearing. It's a facade. In essence, everybody's an actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all have to hide. Like, I get this all the time. Why are you wearing a beard? Well, not only do I love my beard, and it's a part of our culture and whatnot, it's a mask. I hide behind it. You know, that's like...
Yeah. And we all wear masks.
Yeah, 100%. We act a certain way where we have to act certain ways in certain situations, as we know, whether it's business or whatever, but we put up this front to kind of go, yeah, I'm actually all right. Yeah, we do. Blah, 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 you know?
And then every now and again, you let the mask drop.
Yeah.
You know, and you have these sort of conversations.
Yeah.
The three of us are letting the mask drop.
Yeah.
And just being fucking real.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you learn so much from that shit.
Because I suppose people looking, you know, when the mask is dropped, it allows them to drop their mask.
Yeah.
Because they start to see the true nature who is in front of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, if you, it's a bit like, I suppose, the ancient warriors dropping their shield.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So, they, you know, once the shield comes down and, you know, that's why, you know, with COVID and stuff, the shaking hands thing, that I miss that so much because
I'm a huggy thing.
And
hugging and stuff like this, because it's that contact, it's dropping the shield or the sword, and it's the disarming, and there's something about it, you know, it's a part of our human nature.
Because when I met him, me and him dropped the mask straight away.
Straight away.
Like straight away.
Yeah.
Tiernan, I put on 20 masks. Listen to me, right? So, and I don't care how I sound there, because I'm gonna sound like a bit of a cunt, right? So I meet this Tiernan thing, a big fucking bodybuilder looking fella, baldy head, right?
Handsome boy,
I have to get a beard though.
I said he's a stud head straight away, right? Old fella training on his bike, just throwing that out the window. You can't be in good shape without
how dare you?
Because I'm from down there, right? So anyway, sees him anyway, and I'm there, and I think we're doing this workshop he's doing with fucking the support workers and key workers of management, and I was a support worker, and I think he was talking about, I think there was one about alcohol consumption and a certain amount of, if you remember this, a certain amount of units and whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, so you said if you over 15 units, you're kind of an alcoholic or you're dependent. I said, what? Like what? Like what? A night? No, like a week. What? Oh shit! Like so we're talking afterwards. I said, what are you again? Yeah, well, I'm an integrative psychotherapist. What's our cognitive scientist? What? Where are you from? Ballymun. Ballymun. You're fuck off. Well, you still in Ballymun? Because I thought he's had to get down to Ballymun now. He's had to make it. He went across the city. He's on Fox Rock. You know what I mean? You sold yourself. No, I'm still living in Ballymun. What? He was like a math equation that didn't add up. My own class snobbery. It's mad how it's drilled into us, you know. And then we got working together. He asked the head of the program, so I could go to his program and do a bit of acting with the young fellas and whatever. And I was just like, for about 6 months, like, oh, this fucking cunt's getting inside my head. Or is he? Well, I don't know. And different days you'd be thinking different things, but keeping the mask up, you know, acting. Like, trying my best now.
Exactly.
And then after about 6 months, I added up a load of stuff in my head. And I said, this cunt knows everything.
Yeah, of course.
Fuck it.
You don't
just let it out. And then I remember one day, I think the main thing with this actually with this.
I know this story.
This is funny, right?
This is funny.
This is what this. And this was a big moment for me. Like one of those connecting trauma and
Okay.
destructive behavior moments, right? Woo! So anyway, Tiernan's telling me about this fella Gestalt.
Oh no, there's one before that. I'll tell you this one before.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
on
John.
ahead. Yeah.
So we had this kind of really smart young fella, right? And he could read the room. He could read the room. Yeah. And brilliant actor.
Oh.
And a lovely person,
yeah,
right? But very smart.
So shrewd.
Very
Natural,
shrewd.
super intuitive.
But he could use it for his own gains as well.
And charismatic.
Charismatic.
Would have been a great politician.
Street as well.
Street.
Well, it
Mix that
wasn't
in.
me, was it?
It was you.
It was Daddy. Hey, it's me, Daddy.
So we painted the picture. You get the
yeah,
idea who the guy is.
Yeah.
And he comes down and he's watching you and he's watching me and he's watching the energies and the whole lot. And he goes up to John and he goes, John, don't worry. He can't read your mind.
I was at the coming off a bit of a bender. I was trying to. I thought I was playing a storm, right? But in my head, I'm going, looking at me, that's sweating there. I know I've groggy eyes. The voice has gone a bit.
He was playing it, you were playing the blind.
Yeah, I was trying anyway.
Yeah.
But then so there was another day, and the day was over, and there was me, Tiernan, and another person there, a support worker there. I was telling him about this Gestalt fella, this kind of improvisational type of psychotherapy. Is it, Tiernan?
Yeah, the empty chair.
Yeah. So anyway, he showed me an example of it on YouTube, and I went, like, the cheek of me, all of shite. Well, just denigrate everything Tiernan does, by the way. Like, the whole fried fucking fool.
What's this about the unconscious?
An armchair psychologist over here.
John, the only unconscious you knew was the people lying on the ground.
That's how you hold your shoulder.
So anyway, fucking fool anyway. And I says, are you trained in that? Yeah, well, I'm an integrative and all. So all right, so you do that as well. I should do it on me. Like, do it on me though. Like, you know what I mean?
It's a magic trick.
Do it on me.
Actually, I might as well.
And he says, nah, I won't bother, John. No, it's not time with a place. I said, fucking do it, but I'm going to prove this shit. You know what I mean? And whatever. And I was like, man, no, genuinely do it. I'm very curious then. I was getting curious about it. Would you do it? Just try it. Would you try it with me? Okay, look, we'll try something. You know what I mean? So anyway, puts me down in the chair and puts another chair in front of me. And he said, he tricked me, the cunt, right?
That's his job.
He tricked me in the back.
Me do a thing like that? Never.
Because he said, imagine someone in that chair, but you don't have to tell me who they are. So, out of the blue, me father, imagined in the chair. Me father, who died when I was 8, suicide, all this, right? Always ran away from this, thinking, that's not got to do with the way I'm acting like a lunatic. Like, literally now, I believed it. Yeah. So then I just went to myself, why the fuck did I put him in the chair? Why the fuck did I put him into the chair? So I was thinking, what's he going to do now? And he says, what would you say to that person? And I was just, I don't know what to fucking say now. How can I escape out of this feeling and all coming up? Like a volcano coming up. Said whatever it was. What do you think they'd say to you? Woo! Talk about the chair. What's this thing? It's trauma, is it?
Tell me a bit more about the unconscious stuff.
What's going on, man? I never knew this shit. And that was it then. I was just like, okay, just take off the mask now. Because he ripped the mask off anyway. But it's gas like.
And how open were you then after that? Through the whole process?
Tiernan helped big time with just open up my mind to things in a big way, because I had so much defense mechanisms and all these little mechanisms I created myself to make myself safer and more comfortable. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the only thing that got me out of it was acting, but I didn't do it in any other area of my life. And then I was using acting as just that pure vehicle of, I'll let it all out there, I'll put out all the vulnerability there, all the anger, all the shame, all the hurt, embarrassment, do all that. And I'll exercise you to that, and that's really good for me, and it's cathartic, but it's not really. It is for a while. After a while, it's not. You know what I mean? Because there's just more time goes by when you're not dealing with it personally. Of course. And then that's why you see so many actors fucking get into drugs and drink and die in suicides, because they use it as the sole vehicle to deal with the trauma, rather than actually dealing with it. Then, like,
or they're bottling the trauma to deal with their profession.
Yeah, even that. Yeah, and that's so fucking fucked up if you think about it. Like,
can I ask you a question? You think you were supposed to meet each other that way? So
this is the irony, right? There's a load of things. We have this thing, Dáithi, which is kind of serendipity. We believe in that in really do, which is kind of unexplained events come together, and there's some sort of meaning that comes out of it that you don't realize till way down the road.
It's happened over and over,
and
in
it
freaky ways,
consistently happens with us, doesn't it? It's really bizarre. We just go,
we couldn't tell you how
serendipity
many.
again. So it's funny because I had news which was kind of recently, which was a kind of a shock. My father is ill, and I got this kind of recent piece of news that kind of made me kind of look at my family dynamic. And I'm quite interested in kind of genograms and seeing how the intergenerational influences of things affect you. So I was quite interested, and there's a huge part of my family that I don't know anything about. So it's a kind of a black hole. So it got me kind of being, I was very inquisitive. So I went back to where I did know. And I was checking a great uncle, and it was a war kind of hero type thing. I was just looking at these records, and John had asked me before, let's go to Egypt. I have a relative there in the graveyard. He was somebody who went through the Gallipoli campaigns.
My great grandfather Michael Ward, who died in Gallipoli. It was Gallipoli he died in, or was it died in Gallipoli? No, he fought in Gallipoli and died in Egypt, buried in Egypt in Alexandria. His son too, but they never recovered his body. Jamesy, So I want to go visit him. No one has ever visited the old fella. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go visit him. But anyway, I asked the Tiernan to do it.
So I'm going, absolutely. Of course I'd go over with you, So I'm doing the research, And then I realised that this great uncle of mine was the second in command of the battalion.
Wow.
So
of the battalion, my great grandfather.
Wow. But the weird thing then is, we're looking into where my uncle was buried. So I look at this very small graveyard in Bunclody, and I see all his ancestors right beside him.
Ancestors right beside him.
So
literally just them, and literally the graveyard's made up of his people and
my people and his people.
And then he's powers in him, and I've powers in me as well.
Yeah.
And then we both come from the same, the Bunclody kind of fucking Carlow Wexford area.
Yeah.
Loads of our family, the hell from there.
So that connection is deep rooted.
And listen, that's only the start. There's loads of freaky things along the way.
Strange things.
So it is a weird thing. And then we have the same ethos, which is the ethos of our country, which is representing the voices, giving a voice to the voiceless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the story.
That's a beautiful thing. Look, go back to my belief, which is paganism and the earth and energy and all that. To me, that serendipity that's the universe. That's the always going. You've been connected for eons, and now let's bring us together now in this life. I know it might sound to people a bit airy-fairy, but that's my belief.
Yeah, man.
Like the universe will throw things out at you, whether you read them or not. Is up to you.
That's the thing.
And there's only so many times you'll get the sign, and if you're not reading it, it'll move off to something else.
And you're so fucking right. I totally agree with you, and you have to be looking out for them. And it goes back to the nature-science connection you were talking about. I think this thing of serendipity, synchronicity, whatever it is, it's just something science hasn't figured out yet. Because there's so much we don't... Look, if we're talking about fucking trauma, giving people diseases and injuries, who fucking know what the energy is and what it's doing and what's unexplained? Or what we just haven't discovered yet. But there's a feeling there you understand.
Well, I always use this kind of analogy when I'm talking about this, because I have a very science brain, in some ways. I'm kind of always looking at kind of the explanation and the science. I'm a Doubting Thomas in biblical term. I show me the evidence.
Of course.
So I'm quite practical in that. But I'm also quite open to the fact that science is probably a million years away from understanding everything. And there's a lot of things that, science is a moving field and, it catches up on things and it learns. But it doesn't mean that other things don't exist just because science is.
And new things become science.
And new things become science. Absolutely. And so I'm always open to the prospect of energies, different things that are unexplained. You can't explain it by science. I've experienced it myself.
I know.
And you can experience it, but the numbers aren't there. But that doesn't say it doesn't exist.
Experience that.
So it's a bit like a dog, sitting at the, looking up at the moon. Does he understand the complexities of the universe? Does he have the capacity in his brain to understand what that is? It's a light source, that he gets motivated to bark or howl at the moon.
Of course,
But does he know what it is, where the science of where it came from? So I suppose we're a bit like a dog barking at the moon when it comes to all this sort of stuff. I think that's where we're at. We just don't know.
Absolutely.
And it's about a feeling. Like my granny would have this kind of high intuition of that kind of thing and be really tuned into that, And I remember even as children, she'd know when something was wrong with you, She'd just come to you and she'd tell you what was wrong, And I remember even going into her one night and she was facing the window and she was smoking a fag and all the electric was off. I just came in behind her and she said, "Is that you, John?" It's a girl. She just said to me. And she turned around. And I said, "How did you know?" You know what I mean? And she just had this thing. And I was always like, And she used to tell her she was a witch growing up.
You took the words out.
She's mad into like them kind of gods and Irish folklore, the old Gaelic traditions, fairies, leprechauns, that kind of stuff. Like I fully believed in fairies and leprechauns, lads, until I was about 15 nearly. You know, and witches, like, you know, my granny is a witch in a different form, you know. She actually, I'll tell you a little story about her one night. Me and my brother Joe were blackguarding with my mommy, you know. My mommy was, after my father died, you know, very upset and very emotional, and we were starting to behave bad, you know, not knowing why we were behaving bad, like being a little cunts to my mother. And we didn't have electricity for like probably 6 or 7 years, no electricity, but it was deadly, right? It was deadly. We'd have it, sometimes you can have it on a night or two here, it lasts for 2 hours or whatever, you know what I mean? And that's when you'd watch a bit of films or whatever. But it was deadly because it was just all candlelight all around the camp. You could see all the candles all around the camp, you know, it was just pure quiet, no light pollution, and it was just beautiful, you know. And it was a bonfire, 52 first cousins, as I said, aunts, uncles, you know, second, third cousins, like a big encampment, like a reservation. And she came in one night, and she came in with the eyes, and we knew straight away we are fucked, right? And we're like, what's wrong, Granny? Come here to me now, children. Sit down there now, John and Joe. Back when she could remember your name. Now she called you any name at all, right? But she said, sit down there now. I heard you doing a bit of blackguard to your mommy. And no, Granny, no. Now you know I'm a witch, don't you? No, Granny, we know that. Well, you know what I'm going to do now, children? You know, if you don't stop blackguarding your mommy, I'm going to cut you into a million pieces. And I'm gonna throw you into a black bag. I'm going to tie the bag up like that. She always real animated with She's like an actor. Shanicky, pure Shanicky. I'm going to tie the black bag around my broom. I'm going to drive over to the Liffey on that broom, and I'm going to drop you straight in the Liffey. Granny, no!
I'm getting trauma from that.
I tell you, man, we were the best behaved children. We were cleaning the trailer for me mommy. I was bleaching and scrubbing it. I had a chamois in me hand. Jesus
But the only thing is, right, you know what his biggest phobia is? Not about yours and spiders. It's brooms.
Yeah, 100%. When I said, actually, there's another one. Brooms. Connected to brooms. Mops, yeah? My mother's pure soft, right? Pure soft in terms of she didn't believe in beating you. Whereas all the rest of the family, good old baiting. A good old baiting, do we know harm the rest of the family? That was the philosophy, yeah? But her sisters, all my aunts, who I love them all, they're all out legends. But they'd be saying, because we're blackguard, remember me and Joe blackguard, whoever we were doing anyway. Blackguard too bad though. And she said, you have to fucking bait them, you have to bait them. And she go, don't want to bait them, you know. And 3 or 4 of her sisters coming over, and they'd be like sort of bullying her to bait us, you know. You have to go in and bait them now. I said, what's wrong with these maniacs want to get us bait all the time, like, you know what I mean? And so anyway, one day, she was coaxing into baiting them, and they went, the mop got put into her hand, go in now. And they're all behind her, pushing her into the room to us, to bait us in the legs. Right, and I said, oh, here we are anyway, they're coming into us, right? Door opens up, me and Joe looking at each other laughing, you know what I mean? Because we know mommy's not going to go hard, you know what I mean? And she's there, now, you'll stop now. I barely touched her. Hit them fucking harder. And she's going a little harder. And then she's telling us to pretend to cry. And we're going, right, but then we're such little bollocks, the minute she closed the door, we'd start laughing. Ah! So the aunts again, they're laughing, go in and bait them again. This is what they were doing there. Fucking hell, when I think about it, like,
it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. But the rest, that's all we got was the
not the physical abuse is funny, but it's just
it's all funny. It wasn't physical abuse at all.
Listen, we laugh at the dark things.
You have to laugh at it, lads. You have to laugh at it, yeah. Anyway, lads, this was some conversation.
It was.
Fucking hell, we covered so much.
Thanks for having me.
It's been beautiful.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for reconnecting.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you too, brother.
And you too,
absolutely.
Good to see you. Right, tuning off. All the best, folks. You can follow us on social media at Clusterfox Podcast.